Good.
friendly, because I don't.
Go ahead.
All right. I want Holly with me. Yeah. This is what about Gita and how to relate it. We use the translation by economic excellence, which Tom is really tough. And we've got copies here, I think, still at the yoga center. But you can use any translation you would like. Today, we are studying chapter 9 of the Gita. Each session is recorded, which is what we're doing here, and we found in the Yoga Center YouTube. Each live session at the YCC is also broadcast via Zoom. These occur on the fourth Thursdays every month, the live session from 5:30 to 7 Pacific time, and anyone can join in. Contact Yogi Tom at Comcast.net or lbscarly@gmail for more information and get on the mailing list. I'll be back for Tom's presentation with some suggestions on how to relate this now in honor to, what is it, Tom Harris, our presenter and owner of the switch back to her phone.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. And thank you guys for being interested in this kind of work, because not everybody is, but we are. What's that?
Okay.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you, everybody, for being interested in this project that Lauren and I are putting together, and I appreciate your presence and an opportunity to further our understanding of this practice and topic of yoga. So we're dealing with the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, called the Royal Path, or Raha Vidya, which Raha means king and Vidya means wisdom or knowledge. And right off the bat, Krishna starts off, usually it starts off as a question. Arjuna asks Krishna a question. But right off the bat, Krishna is going into an explanation of what does it take to free oneself from evil in the world? And he says it quite clearly. It's jnana and vijnana. So these are two terms we've run into a few times in the text. In fact, one of the chapters was even titled Jnana Yoga. And jnana means knowledge, the knowledge that we accumulate as yoga practitioners. But vijnana is a little different. Vijnana is an understanding of that knowledge. So from Krishna's point of view, it's not enough to have knowledge. You have to understand that knowledge. And certainly, as we have seen through the Gita, and we will continue to see, even having that knowledge isn't enough. You need to apply the principles of yoga through meditation and selfless service. Okay, so that's how he starts the chapter off. And the reason that he brings up the idea of evil is once one puts their life into a devoted path of pursuing yoga through selfless service or meditation, there really is no other room in one's life for anything evil. It's automatically destined to be a good life if you practice what Krishna is describing in the Bhagavad Gita. These are the things that will free you from that evil. Then Krishna goes on to explain that this understanding, this vijnana, is the great purifier. Okay, what does he mean by purifier? What Krishna means, I think, in this instance is once one is set on the path of yoga with devotion towards Krishna, and both jnana yoga, which is meditation yoga, and karma yoga, which is selfless service, once one gets on those paths, it starts to purify one's life. For instance, our karmas in this life and previous life, our samskaras, these emotional and intellectual attachments that we form through our lives, through our work of yoga, starts to purify these things so that we rid ourselves of these things so we are not burdened with them. And to really see Krishna, to understand Krishna, to get in communion with Krishna, you have to approach him with the freedom from this karma, from the freedom of the samskaras, these things that we've accumulated, these actions that have left imprints on our lives. You have to be done with them. I don't know what that is. Okay. And this understanding can lead to a sense of joy in one's life. And it can be experienced by anyone if they, in fact, practice these types of yoga that Krishna is talking about. Those who don't have faith in this system will be forever ever subject to rebirth, to reincarnation. But the wise, the people who practice yoga, the people who do selfless service and devote themselves to Krishna will be free of this reincarnation cycle that we're all beings are subject to. Then Krishna goes on to explain a little bit about himself, or himself. I don't even have a word for Krishna. It's not himself, it's not itself, it's not she-self, it's Krishna, which is different than all other beings, male, female, animate, inanimate in the world. So Krishna, when you understand him this way, he pervades everything in the universe. All things of nature that are of Prakriti, remember that phrase, Parusha and Prakriti, all things that are of nature, Prakriti, Krishna has created and infused with life himself. So he has infused himself into all creatures in life. He's the thing that animates beings, but he's not subject to their laws. He's not subject to or limited by them and their viewpoints or their position. He brings all Prakriti forth. He is the beginning. He is the end. I say he, but I explained myself earlier. It's more than that. It's an entity. It's an energetic form that lives within all beings. He creates all beings. At the end of these lifespans of these beings, those of you who do not come to an understanding and a communion with Krishna are subject to the laws of reincarnation and rebirth. So unless one takes this path towards devotion to Krishna, devotion to that energetic form, then one is going to be subject to the laws of rebirth and reincarnation. He is an attribute of the wise. So those of them, people out there who are wise, Krishna is the beginning of that. He helps people become wise. He's part of that that intelligence that infuses us all. He's part of that knowledge that infuses us all, that leads us to this understanding, this wisdom. So he is the overseer of all. He has no, it's like a shepherd mending a flock of sheep. He mends them, he takes care of them, but he doesn't become attached to them. He doesn't become too connected to them. He observes Prakriti, he is the form of Prakriti, creates Prakriti, but he is not of it. He is not in nature with us. He is above nature. There are many people who seek spiritual wisdom through other avenues. Recognition of any of the great enlightened beings in the past is still a way to connect with Krishna. All of those beings in whatever of the main religions or traditional religions one wants to study, whether it be Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, all of them, their basis is correct. So once one practices in a different tradition, but still comes to the realization that Krishna lives within all, he pervades all, and he is the one to be worshipped. They are the one to be worshipped and devoted to. Whatever means possible, they're still headed in the right direction. But those of them who seek Krishna in empty knowledge, or false gods, or don't see the wisdom of Krishna and his teachings, and don't become connected to them, those people will again be reincarnated into the cycle of birth and rebirth and rebirth and rebirth. Those who meditate on Krishna and worship Krishna with a single point of mind, they are these truly great souls in the world that seek and come into connection with Krishna, and through that connection, they themselves become great souls. And also, there's the path of wisdom, of meditation, where they see Krishna in everything. So this reflects back on the two types of practices that Krishna has described that are paths to him. The path of jnana yoga, of meditation, single-pointed focus, and the path of karma yoga, selfless service. So these two themes keep reoccurring in the Gita, and they keep being slightly refined, slightly looked at differently, to give us a sense of where we should be directing our energies. There's a whole discussion about those who devote themselves to ritual sacrifice, ritual practices, which are oftentimes described in the Vedas. The four of the main Vedas that begin the understanding of Yoga Shastra are these things that are rituals and empty rituals in them. So although a person might live their life in that way, sacrificing in that way, they might lead a good life. They might get to heaven, but they're still subject to that rebirth and the reincarnation. Whereas if you don't, even if you go through that system of ritualistic practices and study, eventually, if you get to understanding this wisdom of Krishna that invades or pervades all creation, until you get to that spot, you're still going to be subject to rebirth and reincarnation. Krishna is the ritual. He is the sacrifice. He is the medicine. He is the mantra that won all of these practices of meditation, sacrifice, mantra, offering of the fire, anything that we offer to Krishna in the form of water, fire, prasad, which means food or gestures of sacrifice to the Lord, Krishna will welcome this. He doesn't care what we offer to him. He cares only of the offering and our heartfelt offering behind that. So he's looking not at what one offers him, but where one's heart is when they offer their offering to Krishna. That's what he sees. That's what they see. Krishna is the supporter of all of the universe. He is the sum of all knowledge. He is the Om, the mantra Om, O-M, which we've looked at in the previous chapters as the resonance of the eternal self, the word Om. And he is all of these things. But it comes down to this. What is the goal of yoga? The goal of yoga, as described by Krishna, is this moving towards understanding. From studying knowledge, practicing knowledge, to then taking that leap towards understanding what you're studying, embodying what you're studying. So this, to me, is one of the big lessons of yoga. The goal of yoga is this inner understanding that Krishna is everywhere This universal energy is everywhere, that lives within everything. And one of our goals of yoga practitioners is to see that, understand that, and to in turn look on all beings as we would Krishna. See the divinity in all. That's the goal. That's where we want to head. Okay. Those who meditate on Krishna and worship Krishna will be provided for. So Krishna guarantees this. If you come to him with a sincere heart, if you come to him with the worship attitude of devotion, you will be provided for. Krishna promises that in the Gita. But if they do not recognize Krishna's true nature that lives within all, they will be subject again to this rebirth, reborn cycle. And until us spiritual practitioners can rid of ourselves of the karmas and samskaras that we accumulate through daily life, we will be subject to these qualities of rebirth and reincarnation. So one of the selfless service karma yoga acts is to act in the world without accumulating future karma. So we want to live in the world and not accumulate either positive or negative karma that we have to overcome later. Best not to get attached to it at all. And then the jnana practice, the meditation practice, is designed to get deep within ourselves, to rid ourselves of the samskaras and the karmas that already exist in ourselves. So if we devote ourselves to these two practices, selfless service and jnana yoga meditation, they will lead us to a point in our lives where we are free from these karmas and samskaras, therefore more readily available to commune and to be with Krishna. All creatures this is available to everyone. There is nobody that is omitted from this potential evolution as described by Krishna. So even the lowliest criminal, if they can turn their life around and devote it towards Krishna, can realize this goal in their own life, this union with the universal spirit. Anyone who fills their mind, loves me, serves me, worships me always, those will be united with me. So this chapter is really about looking at what are the steps involved in being united with Krishna, what are our obstacles, and how we can work towards alleviating those obstacles through karma yoga and jnana yoga, these two main principles that keep coming up. So that's the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Royal Path. So thank you, and I turn it back to Lauren for a close-up. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. But I want to better look at where we are. Chapter 9 is halfway through 18 chapters in the Gita. So my first suggestion is, since we're halfway through, it's a good time to take a thought before you really delve into chapter 9. So go back and read chapter 1. Certainly, take you from the world within, where you are taught good and evil, and the first 6 chapters take you from that world within to self-realization, into selfless service, putting the heart, how to be happy, and so on. And you can see, if you skim back through the chapters, how Krishna is taking Arjuna down his spiritual path. And in fact, at the beginning of chapter 2, he says, Krishna says to Arjuna, how did you fall off the spiritual part. Those are the terms that are used. I invite you to take a look and think about your spiritual path, where you are on it, and perhaps get back to chapter 12 and 6 to get yourself firmly established on the path. And remember that chapter 6 talks about death, and we invited you to consider how you might want to die. Of course, the spiritual path, as Tom has been saying over and over, goes beyond just this current life. And then, starting with chapter 7, 8, 9, the middle 6 chapters, essentially, once you're on your path, I suggest, and what the Gita speaks to me about, is an introduction to knowing God. Now, that's a tall order. So I think that the Gita separated out all of that information. It's slowly introducing it to you. Chapter 7 chapter, and here we are, chapter 9, a little oil. So all of that is to build up to consolidating where you are, so that when you get to chapter 9 and beyond, halfway through the Gita, that you know where you are, you're established on your path, you're consciously aware, self-realization, and you're prepared to start contemplating, meditating on, thinking about the description in the Gita of the aspects of God, the aspects of Brahman, the aspects of Krishna, the aspects of the divine. Choose your words. As Tom mentioned, there's a lot of words for the same thing. We're all headed on important, all headed in the same thing. And that, I think, will build, if you do choose to take on these two practices, that will then build up the information to get into chapter 10. And in summary, a number of people said, Tom said it here, it's one thing to have the knowledge, it's one thing to read the Gita and have the information. It's another thing to understand it and embody it. And that's what we're trying to do here with this series, is to perhaps take a little bit different look at the same Gita that's been around for many centuries and see how it applies today. So with that, Tom, any closing remarks?
Okay. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. I just want to remind people of something. It's a daunting task, this task we have all set upon ourselves. So stay encouraged, have faith, know that there will be setbacks, but also know that there's a community around us that are supporting this, and you are a part of that community, and we are a part of that community. So have faith, keep practicing. Namaste.